Obrigado, Africa. Obrigado, obrigado, Africa. Obrigado, obrigado, Africa. Obrigado, Africa. Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Africa. Hey, Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Sanbonani, Africa. Sanbonani, Africa. Why you say? Good evening, Jumbo Africa, Sanbonani, Dumerang, wherever you are. How are you doing? I'm so excited that we just come to you this evening. It's another great Tuesday, right here from the African Institute of Leadership and Governance, South Africa. I am excited that you could join in today from wherever you are watching, and those of you that are joining in on Facebook. Hey, I've got brilliant speakers tonight. We are going to make sure we have a great and awesome time. You will forgive me for one or two things last week, and the other week it has been difficult to come on because of power outage. Here in KwaZulu-Natal, we have been faced with a very serious storm, which I'm sure every one of you knows about it. It has gone viral all over the world. Everybody's talking about it. And yeah, we lost quite a number of people. More than 400 people died and perished in that flood. We pay our condolences to the families of those that have been affected and those that have gone. But we also want to say thank you to a number of organizations that have come on board to support the victims and the families that have just been impacted. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate that. It was so traumatizing for us in KwaZulu-Natal just to see how lives were going just like that. It's not been easy, but we want to take this time to appreciate the government for a quick response as well. The government has had to run through, and the fact that the government managed to declare this state of disaster, that is also something that we can appreciate and applaud the agency of the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa for that which is being done. Today we are back with Africa Arise Summit here at the African Institute of Leadership and Governance. We want to take this time to appreciate all our leaders, the board of directors that have been really working so hard that we could continue to run and to continue to do what we are doing. The continent is too small, so we need solutions. We need solutions. And this evening, I am not alone this evening. I've got great speakers, and I ask you to just share this message. And we are going to also share this on our platform. It's on YouTube right now. It's showing on YouTube, and it's also showing on different various platforms where people can see it. We are in session number 42 from the time we began. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring to the introductions of my speakers tonight, even those that are joining us in today. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting of your time, all the way from Lusaka, from Zambia. He's not, in fact, in Lusaka. I almost said Lusaka, Zambia, but all the way from Zambia. I've got a great leader who's one of our directors and leaders here at the African Institute of Leadership and Governance. This is no other than Dr. Dennis Lembani. Dr. Dennis Lembani, he's been a great leader and involved in a number of NGOs in Africa and in the continent of Africa.
He's very passionate about development, and he has been very active in economic empowerment. Since his PhD is in development and entrepreneurship. So he is with us tonight, and I will allow him just to unmute the microphone and greet the people tonight. Dr. Lembani, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nkoma. Good evening, and also good evening, leaders. It's my pleasure to be on this platform.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I want also to quickly go to my next speaker. And wow, I see that my next speaker seems to have had a little challenge maybe with the internet there. But I can see we've got people are participating. I've got Linda in the house. I will just ask Linda to say hello to the people, those that have joined in tonight. Linda, you go ahead and unmute your mic and just you can greet us, Linda, tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much, very much. I've got also Kelebohile, but she, I'm not sure if the camera is on. Usually, Kelebohile, if we don't have you on the camera, we struggle to have people speak. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Kilebu Ilonkaranyanye. I am Kifilo's mentor. I'm in New York City. I'm from Lesotho.
All right. Let me try to remember if I can say one word from Lesotho. How do they say Lesotho? You're welcome. Hey, I forgot completely. Oh wow, welcome. Thank you so very much. How is New York doing?
It's fine. We are blessed. I'm an African, no matter where I am in the world. So I'm so happy she invited me. Thank you all for the work you do.
Kialewu. Yeah, that's what I cannot forget. All right. Okay. Thank you so very much. All right.
Thank you.
Here is Kefilwe tonight. And allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome to the floor Kefilwe Ndaba, who is with us tonight. She is an entrepreneur and she's involved in women in manufacturing. And tonight's topic is going to be, we're going to be discussing on these issues on women in manufacturing and entrepreneurship. So, Kefilwe, before we say many things, can you go ahead and just greet the viewers and the people that are coming on tonight, even those that are going to be on? Go ahead and mute yourself and greet the people.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Hello. Hey, technology. We need to teach us women in technology, and because you know, at least we are getting there since this COVID. Good day, every day. Good day and good evening. Good morning. I'm also greeting them for the past days and years. My name is Kefilwe Ndaba from Soweto, born and bred in Soweto. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started this.
Yes, go ahead, Kefilwe, we can
when
hear
I was still young. I used to sell sweets. They can buy the sweets. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
The network on my side. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Can I start to introduce myself?
All right.
All right.
For now, you can pause
my
right
name
there.
Is Ndaba.
Yes, Kefilwe, you can just pause right there so that we can kick in the session. Then we are going to give you now a bit of time for you to dive in. So your introduction will be part of the session as well. All right.
Okay.
I hope you can hear me. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is faced with a number of challenges. And one of the challenges that we have always talked about is the marginalization of our women. We have seen that in the continent, across from Cape to Cairo, from Morocco to Madagascar, we have seen that our women are highly marginalized for a very long time. In all various aspects of life and spheres of leadership, we have witnessed and we have seen that women were bound to the kitchen or were banned only to the kitchen. And also at this particular time, we have seen that wherever a woman would try to arise, there has been a resistance that women have received. So far, Africa has been trying in a number of issues to rise with the women. We have seen women in leadership rising, like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was the president of Liberia. We have seen now the president of Tanzania. We have seen a number of, we had seen here in South Africa, Baleka Mbete becoming the deputy president. We have seen her becoming the speaker of parliament. We have seen a number of Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka. We have seen a number of them coming on the platform. But nevertheless, there are still a lot of spheres where our women are sidelined. We can talk about industries where our women have been put on the bench because the way the society has treated them. Therefore, to begin by, we have also seen that our women needed to be empowered in all spheres, and they need to be given, at least be given a platform at which they can grow their potential. You know, somebody said in South Africa, watinta wafazi, watinte mbogodo, meaning you strike a woman, you strike a rock. There's a statement also which we say that you educate a woman, you educate the whole village. Then there is also a statement that says that you empower a woman, you have empowered the whole community. So today, let me give this opportunity to Dr. Dennis Lembani to begin to look at some of the hindrances, because we have done already problem identification, but we are going to look into development now. What are some of the hindrances that our women are facing in the continent to entrepreneurship, to development, to manufacturing? We want to see Africa develop, and we cannot develop without our women. In these spheres where women are rare, Dr. Dennis Lembani, I want to allow you to take us into a short lecture now, looking at what are the key factors which we need to begin to look at. What has laid our continent to be where it is, and how can we empower our women so that they can get involved in entrepreneurship? Dr. Lembani, sir, pick it up from there. You've got about 10 minutes that you can go ahead and elaborate. If you finish early, that's even better, because we are waiting for Kefilwe to get on as well. Dr. D, go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much, Apostle. I believe everyone else is getting me so clear. Well, women, as Apostle have indicated, you know, are supposed to take a center stage or a platform when it comes to aspects of manufacturing and entrepreneurship in Africa. Yeah. So there are a number of factors so far that, you know, are sort of, you know, hindering or an impediment to women contribution and also participating in manufacturing as well as also entrepreneurship. Yeah. Some of the factors, as earlier on alluded to, Most of them is to do with, discrimination against women. There are all these stigmas around. Apart from that as well, you are talking about also government policies in Africa that seem not to favor, a woman's participation or engagement in manufacturing industry and also in entrepreneurship. You should be aware that, in Africa, when it comes to manufacturing and entrepreneurship, men folk always take a center stage, meaning that women are always not trailing behind, of which mainly is a small percent of women, being engaged. Reasons to that, basically, you are talking about, some of the legal frameworks, in Africa do not also create this favorable platform or condition or environment for women to engage in manufacturing, in entrepreneurship in the African countries. Another aspect I would talk about is also the aspect of rule of law. Mainly in Africa, most of the countries like Zambia, it might talk about the rule of law, but the question is, how is it supporting women also in manufacturing and also in entrepreneurship? There's a question mark there. Yeah. Apart from that, we are all aware that we are living in a globalized world, of which aspects of, technology, communication, are also a barrier to some extent, mainly to a rural woman to participate in manufacturing industry. Yeah, you should be aware that in Africa, there are so many, industries that are, manufacturing a number of products. For example, most of them are in mining. If I'm to talk about Zambia itself, Zambia actually, is a copper mining industry, which is the second to Democratic Republic of Congo in the entire Africa. So when you look at women in mining, there are very few, a small percent. But look at men, they have dominated the industry. So that is also one of the aspects, which is an impediment to women's participation in manufacturing industry. So when you look at the legal framework, you look at also the government policies, administrative laws, really they're not favoring this woman who is supposed to participate, for example, in copper mining. Now, another aspect I would also love to talk about is also women participating maybe in agricultural, manufacturing, processing, value addition. You'll find that a woman is just involved in production when it comes to agriculture, of which, for example, in Zambia, 75% of rural women are involved in agriculture, and it just ends on production. When it comes to manufacturing now, men would always take it up. Men have dominated. But now look at the government policy. Is it really, favoring or providing a space for a woman to be engaged in manufacturing industry, in entrepreneurship, in market linkages, in processing, adding value also to agricultural products? So you find that a woman there, is put in the corner, is disadvantaged. But let us look at, the government policies. You find that policies to some extent could be on the paper. But in terms of enforcing the policy, for a woman to engage in agricultural and also mining, is something which is a nightmare. So when you look at that also, the hope of Africa, is really at a blink. For example, African Union has got this agenda for almost 50 years, but in most cases, the member states of the African Union, how are they also looking at the woman in terms of mining, a woman also in terms of agricultural production, a woman processing, a woman also in terms of market linkages? But those are the factors that the African governments have really forgotten, are not really paying attention to that. But let us also look at some of the risks that women are involved into. There are so many risks, involved. For example, women also are also part of the competition that everyone, both a male and female, all of them are being bombarded by the stiff competition around manufacturing, around also entrepreneurship. But let us also look at the legal frameworks, as I say, in the African continent. You would find that, a woman there is not given attention. Why is it like that? To some extent, I would also connect that to our background as Africans. Some of the industries, are taken to be, or in other ways, are dominated by men, meaning that, the patriarchal structures are still working, meaning that a woman is still taken to be a second graded person, in Africa. But when it comes to traditional values and these other things, men have always have to take a center stage. That is the more reason as to why I'm saying, the patriarchal structures are still also playing a dominant, role when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to entrepreneurship involving women. That is the challenge we have. But we should also try by all means to realize that, the aspects of, manufacturing and entrepreneurship play a critical role when it comes to gross domestic, product, in the country. For example, when you talk about, in Tanzania, 35% of entrepreneurs, particularly women, are contributing to the GDP. But why is that in most cases we don't learn from all those good lessons coming from African countries? Because it is already, something which is quite visible, and every one of us is aware that, manufacturing and also entrepreneurship, play a critical role when it comes to social and also economic development of every other African continent. Yeah. So from that point, I think I rest my case for this period.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you so very much for that extensive preamble, as I would call it, and very, very, very endured. Now, Dr. Lembani, as we have begun to discuss this issue of entrepreneurship, I see Kefilwe seems to be struggling with her network, but she will join us when she gets her network right. But I want us to look at this aspect very, very clear. Okay, somebody saying, Mimindesha, hello, send me your phone number so that I can connect to you. All right, inbox us. We will do that. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I wanna just to look at this and say, the AU has got this Agenda 2063, which we have been talking about, in where we are looking at industrialization of our continent, urbanization, and we look also at how can we deal with poverty and fight all these ills. I want us now to narrow it down. I was going to give Kefilwe to give us an aspect on how the South African women have received this, because I know the former minister of small business and enterprises of South Africa. She's one of the ladies that is my friend, and we had interacted at an extensive level on how the women were being empowered in terms of startup capitals and in terms of preparation and preparing them. So I was waiting to see that we look at how are you handling, more especially on your side from the NGO's perspective, how are you dealing with, how are you helping women to start up in the line of, let's start from entrepreneurship from the agro perspective, because I believe in terms of manufacturing, we will get there, but we have to start from somewhere. I believe once we are able to begin to manufacture things like mango juice by our own hands, we are going to be a step ahead in eradicating hunger. So I want to hear from you. What are some of the strategies that you have implemented in terms of helping the women with startups, and how do you deal with sustainability of their businesses? Let's say those that start small scale and then they grow. How do you deal with that? Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe in a number of years, always been involved in the development sector, particularly with the smallholder farmers. In most of the regions across Africa, particularly Zambia. Yeah, so outside maybe one of the examples where, a number of women were engaged in livestock production. Yes, so this project basically, it was, enhancement of trade in terms of livestock production. This involved women also to be involved in entrepreneurship, in short. That is particularly to do with the livestock production, engagement of the smallholder farmers. So in order to empower women or to engage women in entrepreneurship regarding livestock production, yes, I ensured that women were mobilized in what we call self-help groups.
Okay.
So these self-help groups actually, are registered by the government. Yeah, with the key government line ministries, Ministry of Community Development, Social Services. So all these are groups or groupings that were mobilized, and also assessments were done to ensure that, where the groups were quite eligible to receive, the livestock. Yeah,
Yes.
because most of these groups also, have always been vulnerable in the communities. So an assessment was done to look at, poverty assessments, in each particular group in a community.
Yes.
Yeah, so when that was done, we ensured deliberately, it was an NGO policy to ensure that, every other group, had, 65% of women. We ensured that women were engaged. Why? Because mainly women in the African setup, they always bear the brunt in terms of, the effects of poverty. Yeah, so after an assessment, women were empowered, first of all, with the trainings in terms of entrepreneurship. Basic business management, trainings were also, conducted. Yes, after that, an assessment was done if, women were able to be engaged in livestock production. After that baseline information was done, women actually were empowered with the livestock, particularly the small ruminants. And these were basically the goats. Yes, so each household actually received 5 goats. So that they
so wait a minute. I want just to hear from that. You are saying each household receives 5 goats.
Yes.
Or received 5 goats. And these are startup programs where...
Yes.
Yeah, so in short, first you train them on how to raise goats or how to keep goats. This time we are looking at it for goats for monetizing or goats for business.
Yes.
Because you see, Dr. Lembani, on the other hand, I heard of a country, I'm not going to mention the name, I'm an African. I heard of a country where land was expropriated, land was given to the people, farms with goats, cows, pigs, and these people, when they were given that, they go up there, they start up well, but they start slaughtering every Friday. They start having a bribe. So how do you ensure that there is accountability to those? Because 5 goats that you give to somebody, how do you ensure that there is accountability to that empowerment? Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much. Otherwise, one of the first trainings, which is a requirement, is a prerequisite. It's a training in livestock production, meaning that, farmers, smallholder farmers are supposed to take, goat farming as a business. That's the first thing. It's a preamble, actually. Yeah, so when they receive all these goats, they've got this knowledge in terms of production, livestock production, goat production in short. Yeah, so all these other trainings concerning entrepreneurship, business management, it's basically it's basically one of the sustainability measures, so that, as they do production, they really understand that goat farming is basically a business. Apart from that, in order to sustain that, so that farmers couldn't also slaughter goats and also maybe sell them off to some of the briefcase businessmen, so to say, in inverted commas. Most of them actually, at group level, every group had what we call, a project management committee. This is basically, a committee within a group that, provides an oversight in terms of goat production for sustainability purposes. Other than that, also, we always worked, with the government line ministries, in this case, Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. Yeah, because this is the ministry which is given a mandate by the government, to provide, oversight, to oversee, and also monitor livestock production in the country. So this ministry basically has got all these structures even at community level. The primary purpose is that every group that is basically involved in goat production or livestock production is basically also connected to what are called, camp officers or veterinary officers. The primary purpose for that is basically, for sustainability purposes. In the event that the NGO also phases out, the project phases out, the government, structures now that moving to sustain such projects. So from production up to consumption, we would ensure that the government is involved, moving together with the smallholder farmers, providing also backup training, supplementary trainings in terms of disease control, animal management. Yes, and also we use the concept which is popularly known as passing on the gift. Passing on the gift basically is a sustainability measure also. One member of the group receives today, after production, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 months or more, or half a year, some offspring now are passed on also to the next group or to the next neighbor in the communities. So by so doing, after 2, 3 years, you will find that, there's always a multiplication of the livestock in the community. After that now, as NGOs now in the development sector, we had also to link them to the market. We did baseline, connect them also to the supermarkets. Those that were into, processing, value addition. So that component, so looking at all these processes, that is why we saw, this project or these projects always to be sustainable. And also,
I'll pause you there, Dr. Dennis. I'll pause you there because it's getting so sweet now. Now it's getting to, here where I am in KwaZulu-Natal, we have a little challenge, and it's a project that we had started with His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini before he passed on, to try to educate the people on how important goat farming and how lucrative the business could be. Because for us here in KwaZulu-Natal, goats are only used for lack of
ceremonial
better terms,
activities, social cultural issues, traditional
for
aspects.
cultural, yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Now, Kefilwe, I know that you are having a serious challenge with network. I will put you on spot on because our time is going. You don't have to introduce yourself. I've introduced you already. For those of you who are tuning in right now, please pardon with us. Kefilwe is having a challenge with network there. So if she breaks up, then it will be not her fault. It's because of technology. So let me allow Kefilwe to come on. Kefilwe, women in manufacturing. What are the hindrances? How is South Africa looking at this? You yourself, in your own little way, what are your contribution to this? What exactly do you feel as a continent we need to be looking at in taking women from the kitchen? They have only been manufacturing uputu, no papa, namadumbe. Now we want to take them to manufacture stuff that they are going to sell out there so that Africa can come out of poverty. I have always said that tomorrow is Freedom Day for us in South Africa here, the day that people went and voted. The first vote was casted tomorrow. Freedom Day for South Africa. It's a big holiday, big celebration. But I've always said this, that political freedom without economic freedom is worse than colonialism. Kefilwe, share with us, what are some of the areas that you are dealing with? What are some of the challenges? Dr. Lembani has already been giving us solutions, but I want to hear from your perspective from Soweto. Take it up.
Thank you very much. The first challenge that I've noticed is compliance. It's very hard for women to comply. And then since this COVID, it's very hard to access SARS. For you to access SARS, it's a challenge. We have to pay the consultant, this and this and that. And then number two is capital. Most of the women, they don't have money to start their businesses, to raise their businesses. And I normally say, as women, normally we are manufacturers from the beginning. We can carry kids from 9 months, for 9 months. So imagine you can manufacture women as an incubator. So once we can give them a chance to do more, I normally tell people that you see maheu, you know maheu. If we can package maheu well and sell it our African way, we can also do ginger beer. I'm happy that there are other women who are doing ginger beer and they're packaging well. If you are African, let us trade with things that we normally use, that we know best. And in our section here in Soweto, there are a lot of women who are doing shoes, who are doing bags. And I'm happy that one of the speakers talking about farming. There's one woman who's doing rabbit farming nicely. Here in Soweto, she's the only one. I don't know if there's somebody in here in South Africa, but I know her. She's a rabbit farmer and it's going very big. And that's what I've noticed. And here in Soweto, what I did, since I'm tapping into manufacturing, I'm putting women in their locations. Say the location one, do this. And the main aim is to help them to do it nicely so that they can access funds. Because it's very hard for women to access funds if they are alone. So we're going to form them in cooperatives and say, make sure that you comply and go and access that funding that is needed so that the business can grow.
Wow. Yeah. So Kefilwe, Dr. Lembani was also trying to share almost the same way of in where they have to group these ladies and these women into cooperatives. And once they form them as cooperatives, they are empowering them with, he was doing a project that he has shared with me, just one project out of the many projects he's doing. He has shared with us on goat farming, that they give one group, they give them 5 goats. They put them together and each household is given 5 goats and they are also put into training. Are the South African women, you have shared something that is very interesting. Maybe this one I need to come and check it out in Soweto. The rabbit farming, you know, I've never heard of it at a commercial level. I've never heard of it, but we need to look at how are women being trained? Is there training, necessary training for these women? Because, yes, you have said the right thing. We can have women prepared, given capital, given access to the market. But what are the accountability measures which are there for women? And are these women able to handle finance, for example? Mina, I can give you a very simple illustration from where I am here in KwaZulu-Natal. When you go to places like Mhlaba Yalingana, for example, when you go to those places, you find that most of the women cannot know even how to count. If you go to Umsinga Top, many of the women do not know even how to read and write. So how much more will they be able to handle a business that is going to help them come out economically? What are the measures that are being put in place? Kefilwe.
Okay, let me give you an example. Here in Soweto, we are going to pilot the project for clothing and textiles. The system that we are going to do, we are going to do as sections, as I've said. And before we register them, we are going to teach them what is cooperative, because that's the main thing. You can't just say to people, form a cooperative. Meanwhile, they don't know anything about cooperative.
Yes.
Before they register, they need to be trained, thoroughly trained, and how to use finances, and what is the meaning of cooperative, why and when, and how to access the funds through cooperatives. After that, we'll register them. After registering them, then we'll keep on mentoring them and evaluate them. So each and every location will be specializing in so many different things. You say, okay, we're at this section, so this. Because if you can check, women are mastering sewing. So you want them to specialize, to sew our own things, our own sizes. Because if you can check, for example, here in South Africa, mostly we are wearing the Chinese clothes, whereby Chinese are short and they're not fat. So Chinese cannot know the size of African figure. It's very hard to understand the African figure. A lot of people, they are wearing short things, tight things, because they don't understand our stature. So we are very much forced to wear things that we don't want. They are forcing us to wear things that they want. So if you can manufacture our own things, master our figures, our statures and everything, we'll enjoy. Then we can go to other maybe accessories, bags, the way we want it as Africans. Because I normally say, let's stop to be fake. We are Africans. Let us be proud of our own. Proud of being with our clothes, proud of our food, proud of our hairstyles, proud of our skin colors. Let us not fake anything and from anybody.
Wow.
So it's high time again to manufacture our own skin products, our own products, our own. Everything must be our own. Don't be afraid to also manufacture a curtain with our own cloth, window curtain with our own cloth. To say I'm a South African. We are wearing this trash. We are wearing whatever. Let us be proud of our own things. Because if you can check each and every window, it's not our own culture. We are copying from other people. So if you can have our own thing, our Africa is going to be nice.
Wow. Thank you, Kefilwe. So let's get back to the discussion now on how do we link, for example, here's the manufacturing power now that you have spoken about. Hey, by the way, you have made me laugh, Kefilwe. You said women are manufacturers from from birth. Yeah. Yeah. So now let us look at because of course, we have spoken about money. Monies are always there. The issue that has been there with us as Africans is accountability. I've always said this, that our continent is so rich, but we have got poor leaders who have failed to distribute our resources evenly. And that is why there is poor accountability, because of our politicians. They account to their political parties, not to the citizens that put them in power. That is where the biggest problem has always been. And that is where corruption also starts from. But once our people realizes that in order for Africa to develop, and in order for us to move from the level of poverty to the level of prosperity, we need to have our women well empowered. And I'm just spoken today about women because I know for sure that many women are industrious. I've seen this in many African countries. In Zimbabwe, you find women selling the pounding mortar. I don't know how they call it in the pounding mortar, where they make it out of wood and they are selling in the streets. We have seen them knit their beads and they are selling it in the streets. We have seen that in KwaZulu-Natal in the same sense and in the same vein. So now let's look at turning these small scale businesses into commercializing them. You have spoken about Maheu. which is a drink that is, I think, done traditionally here. There is a campaign that we do at the end of the year called Buy Black, Eat Black. Every year from the 7th of December to the 14th, in trying to empower our Africans. So we say, buy black, eat black. At that particular time, we encourage even people that drink alcohol to try our African alcoholic drinks or beverages, just to empower the African economy. The issue is about empowering the African economy. Our tourists, they do that a lot. But ourselves, we are the ones with the problem. Now, how do we firstly make sure that our people begin to appreciate the market? I will still get on to Kefilwe, then I get on to Dr. Lembani. So Kefilwe, pick it up from there. How do we start to say that a South African, a Basotho South African, a Basotho from Lesotho, a Zulu from KwaZulu-Natal, a Changani from Guyana begins to appreciate, a Tswana from Northwest begin to appreciate that which is manufactured in Botswana land? How do we get to that point? Because the issue has been that we, the African people, do not appreciate that which we have for ourselves. So in the line of manufacturing, an African is going to manufacture the same shoe, but you see the other boy saying, "Hey, Mina, I'm not comfortable to buy a shoe from Guyana. Mina, so tata shoe. I'm going to buy the shoe from China. I'm buying the shoe from China." So how do we start by so the African people begin to appreciate first that which we have at our hands? Kefi.
Yeah, I think we need to help people to change their mentality, to support each other in the local township. For instance, if you are staying in Naledi, make sure that you support that local economy. Because I'm happy that in our government, they're talking about buy local, buy black, township economy. We must try to make sure that the IDP is working nicely before it goes to NDP. So if we can push the local economy, make sure that the money circulates 8 times or 10 times before you go to other areas like Sandton. Let us push buy black, and buy township. Then that one is going to help us and make sure that even as the manufacturers, we must do things productive, effective, and with good quality. Don't say you are just doing for blacks and then you just do anything anyhow. Make sure that we do quality things, need to be trained well, and keep on asking people, how is my service? Do you like it? And also service must push service and how to talk to people, knowing that a client is a king. So you can know those basics, you will be going very much far as manufacturers.
Wow. All right. Dr. Lembani, a quick one just there. Wow. How do you ensure that those goats that they are growing, all right, those goats that are growing, the people in Lundazi, let's say in Lundazi of Zambia, they are breeding the goats. And how do we make sure that the Zambian people, hey, by the way, the Zambian people now, they are eating KFC too much. How do we make sure that they go to the goats and they say, we start eating our local stuff? How do we make sure that we begin to promote our local businesses? From that perspective, what's happening in Zambia, for example?
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Nkoma. As indicated by the previous speaker, all things also stand on, the paradigm shift, in most of the African countries, which is required, even in Zambia itself. First and foremost, a change of mindset is always predominant, it's always key. Because mainly our minds are always corrupted by our traditional, social, and cultural factors towards, certain products. For example, it's just a mindset. In the African continent, including Zambia, we always think that something foreign is the best. But that is just a mindset that we have. So the question I have is, how do we ensure that, there is a turnaround? We need to change our mindset. we need the paradigm shift when it comes to manufacturing of products in order to boost our own, the economy itself. Yes.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, in terms of some of the development projects I've done, first of all, we have always engaged, our smallholder farmers or the beneficiaries of the women folk, who are the main target. We have targeted, training such as social development, of which the mindset aspect is always key. So the key thing first is to create a platform where, the beneficiaries will be educated, would be mentored.
Correct.
Yes, and also maximum support would be tailored towards the women folk so that they are able to grow and also sustain, the viable business also provided. Yeah, so if the mindset is not transformed, it's not changed, it simply means that, you are hitting the snag. You are not going to achieve, sustainability of that particular project. So, or zeroing down now to your question, first and foremost, we need the mindset change for people also to engage, to appreciate, the local manufactured products. That's the first thing. And how do we do that? Like in most of my development programs, I've literally used also the media itself, engagement of the media, engagement of, key stakeholders, key partners, yes, key value chain actors, for example, in the livestock, value chains. And also when it comes to crop production, also the value chain actors in the crop, value chains have always been engaged through the media itself. So the primary purpose is to ensure that, the target group is basically the community itself, the consumers, and also other value chain actors, so that also they should change also the mindset into thinking that, already processed foods like the KFC you mentioned, is the best. We need to change, to transform our minds, to change our mindsets, to indicate that also the locally produced foods are the best. Yeah, because, they are free from chemicals. Because KFC, for example, the processed foods we eat, that is why we have got all these other diseases that, are also, attacking us every day, every time and again. The reasons are because, those are processed foods. So we have been trying by all means to educate the public using the media, the public media itself, to change the mindset. For example, goat meat itself is white meat. Yeah, as opposed, which is better as opposed to red meat. So from time and again, people have come to understand that goat meat is actually one of the best meats actually you need to consume in the community as opposed to red meat. So there's been this shift now where, the community is able to appreciate the white meat, because in terms of health, it's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
basically, let's create a platform, engagements with the communities, and also to look at the government policies. How do they support that? Engaging also the government to buy in to support, such development initiatives. That's the best
All
thing we can
right.
do.
So here's the question. One question again for you, Dr. Lembani. Then there's another question. Let's start with the question for Ms. Ndaba first. Okay, the question there, you can read the question there. It's saying, Madam Ndaba, what's the criteria for a woman in Soweto to receive mentorship and empowerment from your organization? Yes. Kafilwe? I'm not sure if I can hear you, Kafilwe, but the question is for you there.
Come again?
There is a question for you on the screen there. The question says, Madam Ndaba, what's the criteria for a woman in Soweto to receive mentorship and empowerment from your organization?
Please, can you repeat? Please repeat it. I didn't hear you well.
Okay, the question is saying, what's the criteria for a woman in Soweto to receive mentorship and empowerment from your organization? Okay, it seems she's having a challenge there with the internet, I believe. Dr. Dennis, after empowering the question for you there, after empowering the team with GOTS, do you give them second chance if they genuinely fail to implement and reach the target as expected?
Well, that's a very good question. First and foremost, when we are empowering, these self-help groups,
Yes.
we literally put it in white and black that our animals or our goats do not die, which seems to be fun in inverted commas. But basically, what we imply is that, each group, each self-help group, each member of that particular group is supposed actually to contribute a 10% to the group.
Yes.
Yeah, and also that 10% goes to the coffers of each group.
Yeah.
The primary purpose of that percent is that in the event of any mortality, in terms of livestock, there will be a replacement of livestock. If let's say my goat dies,
yes,
that 10% which is contributed to the group, the project management committee will sit down and look into my welfare in terms of replacement of that particular goat. Reasons or the primary purpose is to ensure that there is sustainability at the group level, which is initiated from the inception. That's the most important thing. So that, when a goat is repressed at a particular household, meaning that production doesn't stop. That is the more reason as to why I indicated that once we press resources to a particular group, we indicate in white and black that our animals do not die, meaning that the group has got finances, is able to repress the goat using the 10% which is kept at group level. That's the most important thing. Yeah, so also apart from that, each group is also trained in record keeping, record management, meaning that as production starts, the project management committee is able to go throughout every household to monitor how many goats are giving birth at a particular period of time, and the records are corrected. In the event of any mortality, the smallholder farmer has to report to the group to say, my animal died. Reasons are ABCD, or it was stolen. These are the particular reasons behind. And also a 10% is collected from the group to replace, the lost animal. What we always want is to ensure that a smallholder farmer continues with production. That's the more reason as to why we always say animals not die, because every time production has to continue. Apart from that, farmers, as I indicated, farmers are trained in goat farming, taking goat farming as a business, which simply implies that, every farmer, changes the mindset and seriously takes that venture, as a viable business. So once they're into production, they have to think of other processes in the value chain until, the consumption stage, aspects of market linkages, aspects of transportation, aspects of processing, preservation. That is, how the whole process has always been. So some of the challenges or bottlenecks encountered usually are so low because farmers are equally trained from the word go in terms of taking goat farming as a business, which is basically a sustainable measure.
Well,
so when you look at this venture, it has actually, improved income and household, security in terms of the food and income security at household level, meaning that, poverty is lifted from a household of this particular individual who has received the goods, because they're able to be linked to the market to sell animals, and they are able also to have resources at household level and also utilize the resources accordingly.
I believe strongly that Africa will only receive its own total liberation once we begin to produce that which we eat, we begin to manufacture that which we wear, we begin to control our own lives, because for a very long time, our food consumption, that which we eat, is not really prepared by ourselves, because what we prepare, most of the time we send it out. I've been talking about this yesterday on the business news. Zambia has become, I was reading that yesterday on the business news, Zambia has become one of the largest exporter of avocados.
Yep.
But one of the things that we don't ask ourselves questions like in Africa is that we've got avocados everywhere. Why is there so much demand of avocados in Europe? And why don't we utilize? What are they doing with them out there? We remain poor because there is no education on the things that we have, the value of the things that we have. The same thing that we speak about, I was just giving an example of the goats that we have here, where we just look at them for traditional, for cultural activities rather, and we look at it and say that can be a business. Kefilwe was speaking about the rabbits, you know. I remember growing up as a young boy keeping rabbits, and I don't recall a day that I ever thought that these rabbits can be turned into a business, you know. I was just saying to my son the other day, I said, one of my friends is keeping dogs. He breeds dogs, and it's a big business. So I hope and I believe that those that have participated in this session and those that are participating in this session, they are picking up something. Let's look at, we have looked at the hindrances, we've looked at the linking to the market. Is there a political will? And I will try to break this beyond our borders to all the spectrum of the continent. Do you feel, Dr. Lemband, that there is political will enough to empower women in manufacturing, women to be industrious? Or we, more especially, myself, I'm a politician, so I always say we, the politicians. Because some of us, as a politician myself, we always see as women as good dancers during the time of campaign. You know, during the time of campaign, when I'm campaigning, we love to have women around us and dance for us, sing for us. But when it comes for us to empowering them, I always feel we really, really marginalize them. So I wanted to hear from you. Is there a deliberate political will in our continent which you feel, look, these businesses like the goat farming, rabbit, beads, you know, the beads manufacturing and knitting and all that can make our women to be more industrious. The preparing of these, our local brewed beverages. Is there a political will, or is there political will enough? And those will be, I think, our summarizing notes from that perspective. I would want to ask also Madam there, Kalebo Hile, maybe you can also give a word, one word or two before we close. Yes, Dr. Lemband, is there a political will in this program, in these activities that we have spoken about?
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nkoma. Otherwise, most of the African countries, particularly in Zambia itself, there has always been a political will.
Okay.
Yeah, only that the challenge has been enforcement of that political will, you know, to ensure the political will really is applied according to the pronouncements, according to the documentation. For example, there was a time, you know, the previous regime indicated to say in Saudi Arabia, you know, there was a great demand of small ruminants, particularly the goats.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Of which already that was a good political will, which was well pronounced and also documented. But to some extent, you know, that never took place because of the production aspect. When the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock did some statistics in terms of goat production, the percent which was demanded by the Saudi Arabian government, it was far away, it was higher than what was on the ground in terms of production. But the political will was there. Yeah, so already that puts a woman, you know, at this platform where, you know, she's able to engage in terms of goat trade because the political will has always been there. Yes, but the challenge was basically, you know, aspect of production itself. And also in other African countries, for example, in Ghana, there's always been a political will. For example, two young women, are leading an organization called She Reads Africa. It's a female-led, Pan-African, institution, which is also based in Nigeria. They have expanded, of which they have reached out to more than 200 women in West Africa in terms of manufacturing, in terms of entrepreneurship. And also, most of the women involved are also role models. And already the two governments of Nigeria and also Ghana, there has always been a political will to support that. So all in all, I can say the political will is there, but there are also certain bottlenecks that also impede also in terms of ensuring that the political will comes to fruition. And also one of the aspects that also hinges on the political will usually is also change of the government, regimes. When another government comes in, also that political will is also distorted. It's also not taken seriously. It's taken to be a political will of the past regime. It's put under the carpet, in the shelf. So also those are some of the bottlenecks around. So if Africa can realize, if a political will is pronounced, is documented, even when there is a change of regime, it is always imperative, it's always important for other new governments also to take it up and also support, the political will. And also,
all right,
African governments must also realize that every political will, it should not be for the government of that particular day. It should also be a political will which is meant to support the citizens in the country. That would be better. That would be the best way to go. Political wills are there, but we're talking about certain bottlenecks that always impinge on that. That's what I would
correct.
say.
Correct. All right. I see Kefilwe is in, and I'll give her maybe also a minute or two. Kefilwe, we are talking about, after we have spoken about women empowerment programs, entrepreneurship, manufacturing, we see that all these things, how to link the women to the market and how we can make sure that they expand. The question that we are concluding with tonight is there a political will enough to make sure that a woman rises on her feet, stands on her feet, and becomes economically independent? Yes, Kefil, pick it up.
No, not yet. I've never seen it yet now. They are just talking, but no action. So I think as women, we need to push ourselves. It's just the talk show. And if you go there, there'll be red tapes a lot of red tapes all over. So as women, the patriarchy is still there, very live.
Wow.
So I didn't see anything. Patriarchy is number 1 plus. It's number 1 plus.
What do you feel the women need to do? What is it that has to be done for the women in South Africa? And particularly, yes, I would narrow it to South Africa. What do you feel the women need to do so that they can be heard and they can really be empowered to begin to move this thing to the next level?
I think we just need to unite as women. We must unite and show that we can make it. We've done it before.
Yes.
We have to unite more and make it happen.
Yes.
And even us women must not have this pull down syndrome, because that's the saddest thing about women. Pull down syndrome. We need to support each other.
Yes.
Well,
we need to support each other more.
Well, I'm looking at my time and I wish to continue, but our clock is ticking. It has been a very interesting subject. I must say, it's just a challenge that Kefilwe's network has been really troubling. We will surely have to bring you back, Kefi, and we have to. Okay, let me see somebody saying something. Let me read this. Now you see, okay, somebody's writing, say, absolutely, my queen. on the unity of women partnership. All right, yes, that's very important. The unity of women there. I think it is important for us. We are busy preparing. For those of you who are watching us and those that have just come on, I want to say to you that we at the African Institute of Leadership and Governance, we are committed to see to it that Africa is governed well and Africa is able to stand on its 2 feet. So we are preparing a great conference, a summit, a live summit, which we will host in Lusaka very soon, and then thereafter in Maputo. And because we are based here in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, so this has always been home. We have had a lot of activities right here. So we believe that it's time for us to start taking them out into other countries as well. So Kefilwe, what is your last message of hope on a woman sitting out there saying, what can I do? I've got so many ideas. How can I get out there and begin to implement and do one business or the other so that I can just put bread on the table for my children, for my family? You know, we live in what we call black tax in Africa, where you have got all these other people that depend on you. What's your last words to women out there, Kefil?
Okay, my last word is to say, as women, let us start to be innovative. We have a lot of things that we can start. That's there next to us. We can also use papers to create things. Recycling. Let us be innovative. And let us learn to read. Let us not be afraid of reading. Reading. And also ask. If you don't know anything, ask. It's not stupid to ask anybody. So I think innovative. Let us use the things that we normally have in our household. Example, I did my own green tea with the herbs that we normally do. I mixed my own green tea because I didn't know the green tea that they used. So I read about herbs, different herbs. I say this one is good for this and 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 this. I did my own green tea with my own taste that is going to be effective in my own life. So we can use things that you are using in the kitchen. So don't wait for somebody to say drink this, then you test it. Read and test for yourself. Because most of the time you're just consuming things because you saw maybe one celebrity say, use this. Why can't you do something for your own family, for your own self? Innovative.
Wonderful. Is your green tea on the shelves already? Is your green tea on the market already?
Not yet. It's not on the shelf yet, but I've got results from myself. I will start to put it in the green shelf. I start to give people to test it, but for me it works wonders. For my hair, for my skin, for everything. But I didn't.
All right, Kefilwe, I'll be waiting to receive that tea here in KZN. If you can put it, post it to me tomorrow, so we can be able to test it as well, so that we can promote African stuff. Dr. Lembani, your last words. I know you are tuning in from Zambia, but your last words, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much. Otherwise, from my point, we need more engagement in terms of aspects of manufacturing. That is starting with the government policies that in most cases have been put, under the shelf.
Yes.
Yeah, so we need more engagement with the policymakers, in short, the government itself. And also zeroing down to our women folk. We must always realize that, women must always be part of every other, economic growth and development. Yes. Yeah, I always call that as a smart, smart economics, if women are always involved in economic growth as well as also in development. That is the only way we can always remove poverty, out of the households of most of the African countries. Other than that, also, there is need also for development players, of which ourselves also, not to create what we would call dependency syndrome. Yeah,
Yes.
where women mainly, even in the communities or in rural setup, would always think of the financial aid provided to them. That has also killed Africa itself. Yeah, that is why many always think of receiving. That is why the Western world always take Africa, as always a continent which needs to receive all the times from the West. So that also starts with ourselves. Yeah, because dependent syndrome has been created. Therefore, we always want to receive. So we cannot alleviate or take away poverty if that dependency syndrome, still remains with us. So we should reach a point where we create, a platform where we say we are all partners in development. We are able to collaborate, together with the end users, the beneficiaries themselves, so that we are able to take away poverty from people's households. I think that's the most important. It's one of the critical pathways that Africa is supposed to embark upon. We need to think through in terms of all these change processes, but it also starts with the mindset change. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. What we are doing is that we are collecting enough data and enough views so that next year, when we are given the opportunity to present what Africa feels like at the Pan-African Parliament, we will have had enough detail and data. So every Tuesday, we come with the Africa Arise. As you can see today, we are hitting 42 sessions. And that means that we have been moving quite at a good rate. Ladies and gentlemen, on the panel today, all the way from Zambia, we have Dr. Dennis Lembani, who is a PhD holder in entrepreneurship and development. And from South Africa, we had my dear sister Kefilwe Ndaba, who is an entrepreneur and also a practical woman that has been involved in the NGO sector and developing women in Soweto, South Africa. Join us again next week as we look at a number of other issues when we discuss on the African continent. I want to read a last comment that has come on. It will just be fair for me to read this comment. It's saying, as a nation that has been darkened, perhaps it's important to assure the identity within ourselves in growth and development so absolute. Gratitude to the team for the unpaid education and enjoyment of the mirror reflection. Love who you are. Black. Oh, that word, I don't know what it means. All right. Thank you, my friend. Lekala. All right. Thank you so very much for that compliments and also for just coming on. Furthermore, those of you who need to get more education and more information, get to us and we'll be glad to equip you. Have a wonderful evening, Africa. I want to say, Nkosi Isikeleli, Africa. Mungu abariki Africa. Asante sana. Sawa. Au revoir. Bonne nuit and totsins. Bye.